What's going on, folks? And yes, this is another episode of In My Opinion with Ryan, and thank you for joining. As I mentioned earlier in the year, this is not a trend or a fad. This is something that's going to be ongoing, so thank you all for tuning in. If this is your first time, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. And as always, my goal is to talk to the camera. You guys talk back in the comments. Let's get some dialogue going. Let me know what you think about today's video. Let me know if there's any recommendations of other shows and and movies I should be aware of. I'm always open to any genre, willing to give it a try. So I'm gonna give you a bit of a warning. Today was kind of a slow week for me in terms of watching stuff today. I've been busy with some other things, some freelance shooting, jobs picking back up, all that type of stuff. You know, work of the average working guy and whatnot. But nevertheless, I am here today to talk about In From the Cold. It's a Netflix original series. I saw it earlier this week. Outside of Power, it's once again a fairly slow week, but this was actually a decent watch. This stars Margarita LaViva. If you're not familiar with that name, you may be familiar with the face. She was in Adventureland, which is a movie that came out in 2009. She was also in the HBO original series, The Deuce. She played a bar owner, and she was James Franco's love interest in and out of the movie. In and out of the series of The Deuce. So it stars her. It also stars Cillian O'Sullivan, who's mainly known from his work from The Vikings, which I believe it was an A&E original series. I might be wrong in that, but that's what he's in. Just to give you a quick summary about what In From the Cold is about. A New Jersey mother, her life is turned upside down after she's brought out of retirement. She used to be a spy, a Russian spy. So she's brought out of retirement and she has to go ahead and help this secret CIA agent find out some stuff. And she's doing this against her will. She's kind of coerced or blackmailed because, you know, her daughter is at risk. She doesn't want her daughter to go into the foster care system and things of that nature. Doesn't want some things being found out. So because of that, she agrees to come out of retirement, get back to her spy thing, and go forward in helping this mission so she could try to get back to her normal New Jersey single mom life. So this takes place in Spain. She goes on a field trip or like some type of ice skating competition with her daughter in Spain. And then that's when she's discovered by this rogue CIA agent who pretty much kidnaps her and coerces her into helping him with his mission. And once again, the reason why she goes along with it, her daughter is put at risk in terms of being put back into the system. She's doing it just so she could keep her family safe from the truth and things of that nature. So that's the main reason for it. In terms of what I thought about it, I thought it was just okay. Like I said in the beginning, it's a decent watch, you know, and I'm not gonna leave it up to a slow watch week. I'm gonna just say it's a decent watch. It's kind of predictable, but the action is very good. And one thing I appreciate about any type of action movie, I always appreciate the action movies where the hero or the protagonist doesn't mind getting his or her ass whooped a little bit. You know, when I was younger, for example, I used to be a big fan of the Steven Seagal movies, but one of the things that always threw me off for a little bit, even as a little kid, Steven Seagal was whooping everybody's ass. Like people would barely touch him. And I remember Patrice O'Neal, one of my favorite comedians, may he rest in peace. He said, he also made this observation, but he said the only person that landed a hit on him in one of the movies, I believe it was Marked for Death, where he fought this Jamaican gang mob or whatever. So anyway, he said the only person who laid a hand on Steven Seagal got killed the worst. He got his eyes gouged out and then thrown down an empty elevator shaft and was impaled. So my point is, those type of movies where the hero is doing all the ass kicking and barely getting touched, those kind of don't really make it believable in a sense. But no, so one thing I did appreciate about this movie is the hero or the protagonist doesn't mind getting her ass whooped here and there in this movie. Kind of like Die Hard, which is another example. I feel like Bruce Willis was taking punishment just as much as he was giving punishment. Just show some type of reality with this. Be fairly realistic in this fictional movie or something. And so that's what it's about. And also, she is a bioengineered CIA agent. So a bioengineered Russian spy, meaning she has some type of abilities that kind of makes her the super spy or super soldier in a sense. So it's essentially a spy with some superpowers also. And I will say this, I don't consider it a spoiler, because if you see the trailer, or if you see the plot description yourself, it lets you know that she is a bioengineered spy. So me just turning on Netflix and just diving right in, I wasn't aware of that at first, and it kind of threw me off in a sense, because I'm watching this movie. But episode 1, you get the background, you get what's going on. You find out that she's this single mom who then turns into this, spy agent because she got, coerced into doing that. That's episode 1. And once again, me not seeing a trailer, me not reading the description, you go into episode 2, and next you know, this spy is like turning into somebody else. And I'm just, what the hell is going on? So that threw me off a little bit, because I didn't do my homework before watching this. I just dive right in, and I was like, why the hell is this spy morphing into other people like she's Mystique or something? And another thing about it, like, this didn't look like no smooth transition of a transformation. This looked painful the way they did it. This looked like a painful ass transformation, morphing into somebody else. I mean, bones cracking, she's moaning, she's groaning. It makes it very unappealing to want the ability to turn into other people. Whereas if you see Mystique from the X-Men movies, it made it look cool as hell. This didn't. For some reason, it looks and sounds painful watching her transform into other people. So then you realize, okay, wow, she can turn into other people. That's one of her bioengineered abilities. Does it stop there? No. You get into another episode, and she takes off all her clothes, and she can turn invisible. And it's like, how many powers does this woman have? And so, once again, I don't consider it a spoiler alert, because it lets you know that she's a bioengineered spy, by reading the plot description and so forth. But I do feel like they did things a little backwards. Like, for example, when you go into a Spider-Man movie, they always, especially if it's like a reboot or something, they always show you how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. Got bit by a radioactive spider. Next thing you know, here he goes. With Wolverine, he gets, all these lab experiments done to him. He gets this, adamantium, bone structure into his body. Now now his bones are made of steel, basically. All that type of stuff. Claws, the whole thing. This movie kind of went backwards. You get the powers first, and then as the series goes along, you get kind of the origin story, towards the end of the series. So I won't spoil that. So it's kind of backwards. They introduce you to her powers first, and then as the series progresses, it kind of goes backwards, and you see how she became the way she is. So I thought that was kind of an interesting twist. So that's really it. Would I recommend people see it? I'm really on the fence about it. You know what? I put it like this. I would recommend you see this movie if you perhaps have a slow news week. If you have a slow week in terms of finding something to watch. Like I said, the storyline was good. Some parts were predictable, but overall, I thought the storyline was interesting enough to keep me wanting more. Like I said, for example, once I found out this spy had superpowers, I wanted to keep going with the series just in hopes that they show how does she get superpowers. The storyline between how her spy, double life as a spy could harm her daughter. So the storyline is good. It's great, matter of fact. But as I mentioned, outside of some parts being predictable, I say it was a pretty decent watch. So I would recommend it only if you have a slow week of finding something to watch. Once again, this is called In From the Cold, and it stars Margarita LaViva, and the CIA agent is played by Cillian O'Sullivan. And I do think it's a decent watch. So there's my review. Love it or hate it, this is my opinion. Peace.